everybody. Welcome back to Keep It Going. And we are about to go into a really interesting conversation with the fellas here about Father's Day and what it means to be a father. I think that this is a really important conversation, especially right now with all of the things that are going on out here in the world. Fathers are really important. I do think that this is a conversation that we would enjoy keeping going, right? So, we are here with obviously Falaji, our host, and we also have Enyi and Adi, and they are here to give their perspectives as well on fatherhood, and of course our girl Edie. So first, I just want to kind of have you guys, maybe give a shout out to your dads and say what's up. And then once you give that shout out, I just kind of wanted to ask you guys, what would you say is the greatest thing that your father has taught you? So we'll start with you.
Yo, and thank you for having me. And thank you for having me. Thank you. Yo, shout out to Dad. Very impactful, influential, but to answer your original question, he had taught me not to give a damn, I guess. And just do and say what you want because life is short. So that is the long-lasting thing. That he has taught me a lot of lessons, but that one I figured I'm just gonna gravitate towards that, and that's one of the keys to acting life.
Sure. So my dad passed away a few years back, but he was dad to so many dads that we call dads today. And I personally feel like he left a lasting impression. Just growing up and watching him, right? He led by example. One of the biggest things that's sticking with me today is just being a man of integrity. Being a man of just love others like you want to be loved. And one key thing is, he always said, have a firm handshake. And when you shake people, make sure it's strong, make sure it's firm, It's just a little things, right? But I think the key one for me specifically that I took, growing up was how he treated my mother. And I thought that was amazing because even today in my marriage, it's one of the key things that I always make sure that I lead by example. Because I know my girls are watching, right? Is how you treat your significant other is so key because I still remember that now. It's pretty impressive, because he was always so respectful of my mom, and she respected him. And you don't see a lot of that today in most families. So I think that was key, and I always stick with that. So yeah, that's my key thing that I want to share, at least pass on to my little kids. So,
well, it's nice to sit on a panel. I'm always the one asking the questions. Ask me a question. Dad, happy Father's Day. Appreciate you. Love you. You're an amazing man. I'm just happy to have been able to be your son and enjoy you for all this time and hopefully many more years to come. I think for me, what my dad taught me was really education, right? He was a man who could never get enough, or he is a man who could never get enough of education. He has 9 degrees, right?
Wow.
9 degrees.
More than that though, right? There's like a JD or something.
No, it's not. I just had this conversation with him yesterday. If you guys don't know, this is my older sibling here. It's 9 degrees. I was trying to actually make sure I can commit them to memory, so I just know, So that's the big thing, man. Obviously with education, nobody can take that away from you, And I do appreciate him for that. And he's pushed all my siblings, Adiola, Olufemi. We're all very successful in the field of education, if you want to quantify it by that. So that's for me what it is.
So, being a father, what is one of the difficult things that you had to endure being a dad or seeing your dad, build, his life?
So my son is 4, right? So I haven't had any struggles with him. The hardest part might have been just being in the emergency room with my wife.
Right.
And yeah, like that was enough for me. that was enough for me. But after that, I mean, everything, thankfully, like, it's just been cool. Yeah, it's been cool. Just like, I wish I could make something up, but like right now, it's just cool, man. I don't have any problems. Like, we have been lucky in that.
Yes.
Yeah, for me, I think that's a really bad nightmare. It's emergency room as well. My little girl, she was only 6 months, and she cried one night, just consistently. We were like, "Why is she crying? We can stop from crying," and not realizing the whole time she had dislocated her elbow, right? And we had no idea, But luckily, my wife noticed. She was like, she's not moving her arm. She's just, when we picked her up and everything, we noticed her arm was still kind of stuck. And we were like, okay, something doesn't seem right, and obviously we took her in, and the doctor was like, oh yeah, that's actually a common thing for little babies. Sometimes, depending on how you carry them, or sometimes it's easy to sort of pull the socket out. But it was kind of cool how they just, within seconds, the doctor came in and literally popped it right back in, and that was it. She stopped crying. It was just like a miracle, and I'm like, wow. But it was the scariest thing, but also pretty refreshing. That kids are so fragile, but at the same time, they heal so quickly. It's just pretty impressive. But yeah, I still remember that.
One of the things I'll never forget is one of my daughters had, when she was younger as a baby, had like acne or something like that on the skin, and she was just scratching. And you feel so helpless, right? You buy all these different lotions and they don't necessarily work, So it's just a very, very helpless feeling. And, as strong as we are as men and want to do all these different things, sometimes you're just vulnerable and you just have to, either pray or, just can't really do much. And luckily, obviously, it all cleared up. But, I think that was pretty difficult.
And I think I hear that a lot from men is that feeling of, I'm a father, I'm the protector, I'm supposed to be the strong one, I take care of everything. And then that one thing happens, and when you don't know what to do or you feel helpless, like it just kind of freezes you. So that I think is pretty common. That a thing that a lot of men go through.
And to your point, Renee, too, our daughters are my daughters are 12, twin girls 12. You have younger daughters,
8 and 7.
So I think that feeling of kind of helplessness is going to happen as they grow older, right? They may fall in love, they may get their heart broken, and what can we do? We try to console them, they may not want to talk to us, they may. So that's just to your point, and it's an ongoing evolution as they grow into different stages of their life. And I think our job as fathers is to just be there as best we can and support them and try to give them, share our experiences with them so they can use that and not falter and slip and make the same mistakes.
Really good stuff.
Absolutely.
Really good stuff. So, how would you say, kind of, piggybacking onto that, I mean, I know there are the difficulties, and then you say you don't have many. So, what would you say is the thing about being a father that's actually made a significant change in your life? What changed about you as a person?
Oh, well, that one, yeah. Definitely. I mean, you gotta be more like responsible, of course. You were taking care of the family, and it's like something. If you sit there and just think about it, it becomes overwhelming. If you would just sit there, I am responsible for this person's livelihood, and this person's livelihood, and this person's shelter, and eating food. That's when you're like, whoa, this is a big responsibility. But yeah, just becoming less self-centered, I guess, and just kind of focusing on the bigger picture and the long-term goal. I always say long-term vision is a superpower, and not everyone has it. So I know there are things that I'm doing now that is going to affect him when he's 6, 8, 12, 14. So just even when I speak with him, everything is positive. It's always positive reinforcement, which is funny because before he was born, I always felt that I'm gonna be just like my mom and dad, very authoritarian, big fat. I don't have to lay ahead of him. I just look at him and that boy will crumble. So it's it's that kind of respect. And then I have respect for like him as well, cause like he like teaches me stuff and everything too. He's like, I had these things, just calm down. I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, I got some paychecks there. It's cool.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. And just speak back to what you said, like respecting your kids, it's such a for the little adults for the most part, especially now kids have I think have evolved over the decades. I'm just amazed at some of the things they come up with, stuff that we didn't teach them. They just pick up and learn. But really I think the key thing is just being present. I think that's how it's changed me. Like, self-centeredness is no longer. I was always a video game fanatic on the TV and hours. And the cool thing about it now is, even my girls do it. My girls can play their games, but sometimes they want to play. Hey, Dad, get on. And I cherish that little time, to play games with them, because that's a big deal for them. The fact that I'm on there and they play Roblox now, and I have characters. Like, so the other day I was with my two girls and and this actually made me laugh because they were like, we had to go to this party in the game, and they had to go dress up, and it was like such a big deal. Like they took their whole time putting all these outfits on, and I'm sitting there like, are you kidding me? Do I need to like figure out what I gotta wear for this? Like I just want to play, But it was so important for them. They literally took their time and were like, Dad, you gotta do this, you gotta get this hat, and I just paused for a minute, and I'm like, wow, you know what? This is there in their own little world, but I have to just. That made me sort of just escape from my craziness, right? Work every day and all this crazy, our life gets chaotic. So for me, I just appreciate that little time to just spend and focus on what they were doing, and it was just impressive, and it just changes you, So really, just being present, I think, in general, for your kids, they see that, and I think that, like you said, that goes a long way. That really helps them in the long run. So definitely.
I just want to tell you, these are the kind of cats I roll with. These are the kind of people I keep in my circle, man. You talk about support, we've heard that, on these episodes, and that's a common theme. And you just gotta keep the right people in your circle. That's why they're on with us. So to the question, what has changed, with being a father as to not being a father? I did say I have twin girls. I do have two boys, 3 and 4-year-old boys. So I think I get different things from both of those, different age groups. But it's cool because I think that, for me, it's actually wanting to be the best I can be. Because by me doing that, they see that and they now know it's possible and they can also be better. Right? So it's interesting because as we're thinking about it, we're putting the show together. I told the girls, I said, hey, I got a Father's Day session. What question would be cool to ask, and they gave me some input. Oh, cool, Daddy. So, those are the kind of things I think as we, we progress in life, we just want to share it with them and we want to bring them as far as we can go and then let them fly.
Absolutely.
So, if there was a message that you would put in the Bible for your children or child, so they treat that message when they're age 21, what would that message be? As a, for your
Yeah. So, and it's funny, right? Because I actually think about stuff like that. So, and I was speaking with him earlier, and he's like, yo, so I was on Instagram and I watch all your, those are for him. All of those messages are for him just because I might not be here, like something might happen right now.
Yep.
And it's always in the past, like, oh, this was your dad, but like they can't see it. But if he can go on my social media, like, oh, daddy was doing that, daddy was like, then at least that sense of pride, because that is the one thing I'll be turning over in my greatness that he didn't get to know what kind of boss I was, like what kind of dude I am. Just because if he can see that, he ain't gonna have no problem. He ain't gonna have no confidence issues or nothing, because he can always draw upon that. And I leave messages and all of the posts about from shooting a shot to following business goals to following dreams. So I do that daily for him. Make sure
That's beautiful. What about for your girls?
Yeah, I would say for me, it's find your purpose, and it's a tough thing to do, you know, because we're constantly in this vicious cycle sometimes, you know. And I feel like, you know, to me, you know, we saw the artist Tori was here and she spoke about support and everything, but I think the biggest thing is, you know, find what you're good at, you know, and it's probably going to lead to probably some additional questions in terms of, you know, how we grew up. You know, I think you said 3 big things: doctor, engineer, or lawyer. You know, we Africans, you know, we're so instilled in that you got to be this, right? But it's really, if that's not your purpose, I don't care what anyone says. If you're not supposed to be a doctor, you're not going to be a doctor, right? Or you're not going to be good at it. It's as simple as that, right? So it's just, you know, find what you're good at. You know, everyone has a specific, unique purpose. You know, find it and stick to it. You know, and I think that's what I'll tell them, and be proud of that. You know, and I'll support them no matter what. You know, and I think that's the message I want to give them, and make sure that they have that support to do that.
Yeah, man, I'll stole my answer, man. No, just to piggyback on that, what is it? Proverbs 18:16. A man's gifts makes room for him, right? So I think on my journey now too is more like, okay, you know what are my gifts? You know, because I can be good at a lot of different things and I can excel, but if I'm not doing what it is I was called to do, then I personally don't see that as true success. And if you're doing what it is that you were called to do, you're going to reach heights that you couldn't even dream of. You know, so I want to give them that message. Kind of tying it with
Absolutely.
Yo, and then just to expand, I piggyback on this thing. Yo, so like when I was younger, I had bars, I was like, right? And like my mom was not that at all. Like, you went to college to get a computer science degree, okay? Like, no, yeah. And my dad was at least there trying to go to bat for me. So at least that was there. But he's like, I'm like, just let him try to do what he's going to do. Like, don't try to force him into this thing. So I really appreciate that. I mean, I wound up graduating, not like because of me, because I actually later on found out they actually went behind my back and talked with my professor. I was like, come on, please, because this one's going to be great, but he's just not serious. And then I finally passed. It was just one class. It was like one class I could pass. And I took it like 4 times and I just couldn't pass it. And then one time I passed it. And then years later I found out, look, we went to talk to the professor. And finally said, whatever, I don't want to deal with him no more. So I thank them for that. But yeah, I mean, if we start talking about what our fathers have done, we're going to be here forever. But it's just having just that presence of these.
Awesome. That is actually, really great to hear. I think, again, like you were saying, and as Tari said to us earlier, it's all about support and just making sure you have that support. And I think that's spot on. So I think we can close with this question. Now, as a father, how do you navigate through separation and divorce, and how that affects the children? How does that affect you? How does that affect your feelings?
my first marriage, it unfortunately didn't work out. And you have to go through this stage of separation and divorce, and you have kids, and it affects the kids. Now, luckily for us, we were able to come to a happy medium, right? Where, maybe I wasn't 100% happy, maybe she wasn't 100% happy, but our focus was on the kids, right? And the reason that's actually a good question is that there's so many people dealing with that now. I could probably name 3 or 4 people that I know that are dealing with that now. And it breaks my heart when I hear them say, okay, she's not letting me see the kid. I haven't seen my kid in 6 months, or vice versa. It's a lot of animosity, but the hard part is people can't see down the road, right? So right now, that was years and years ago for me, but we're cool. We got a great relationship. The kids have 2 happy homes, right? But people can't see that far down the line, and unfortunately, they make these decisions that hamper and scar the kid for life. So again, this is keep it going. So when I'm talking to anybody who may be in that situation, it's just a temporary situation. You're not going to get everything you want, she's not gonna get necessarily everything she wants, but keep the kids at the forefront, at the center of that discussion. And think about, 5 years or 3 years or 10 years where everybody has moved on. You're happy, she's happy, and now the kids are also thriving. So I think, that's my message for people going through that kind of situation.
It's good advice. It's very good advice. And considering COVID times and all of that, there has been a lot of people that I've run across that have been having, their own relationship issues, and things fall apart at times, So just being able to keep your kids and understand that your kids are the most important people in that situation is really important. You guys, this has been awesome. I love what you guys have said.
So I have another thing.
Oh, sure.
I said, sure,
Wait,
keep
you want
going.
to sit here?
Right.
And then I think it's something he said, for all the fathers, just being present,
Yes.
that is like 99% of it, right? Just cause like my son, I was like, cause one day I want to take him to a toy store and I'm trying to buy this like big toy. This one wants to go to the dollar store, which is his toy store, and he just wants one little bit. And it makes his like poor entire day. So what I'm saying is, you don't got to be super dad. I hope, because sometimes, you're like partner or whatever, like, you didn't do what such and such did. Don't worry about that. Do what you can do and just never be satisfied. But like just being present, because it was times, I can't remember now. If my dad wasn't present, I don't remember. All I remember is when he was there, and I still remember being like, I think I was like 4 or 5, and he was trying to teach us to like ride on this broken bike and like Unilag or whatever, and we're trying to ride the bike and like screws it tight. So I'm turning, but the like wheel's still going this way, but I remember that. So like just being present, that's already 99%. Don't like worry about the money or the gifts and that, because I don't care about that. They just want you.
Absolutely.
Very real, very real. Show up. Gotta show up.
Yes.
Well, we thank you guys for showing up for us today and for coming to speak with us about fatherhood and what it means to be a father. And again, we just want to keep the conversation going with you. So, obviously, we're glad that you joined us to pay attention to the conversation. Keep the conversation going in our comments and on our social media.
Awesome.
Awesome. That's nice.